Most respected manager of your school, Father Dominic, MCBS, Professor Salim sir, a renowned astrophysicist of your area, and all the other dignitaries on the dais, the principal, staff, students of your school. Very good morning to all of you. First of all, let me thank you, the manager, for the good words for ISRO and me he has told. Though I don't deserve all those things, I also feel thankful for inviting me for this grand function and stand before you to address you on behalf of Indian Space Research Organization. I also take this opportunity to congratulate the management for the past glorious 20 years since this school has been established in your area. It would have produced thousands of eminent experts and other scientists in various walks of life. And I am sure this legacy will continue for the years to come in future also. You may be wondering why I am here or why ISRO is here in this school. Simple answer is it is our duty to be here. ISRO goes to all or majority of the schools all over India. It visits, and it is something like an outreach program from ISRO, and we expose or the ISRO expose its activity, the current, past and future goals to infuse mainly the young minds with a sense of technical inspiration and guide them to the scientific world. ISRO has started in a very modest way, very long back, around 60 years back, 1960 to be exact. It was a very humble beginning for ISRO, and under the strong visionaries like Vikram Sarabhai, and it started with a facility or a place, Tumba, in near Thiruvananthapuram. There are some scientific background behind selecting Tumba. It passed through the magnetic equator. So, that time we didn't have any previous exposure to the space technology or the launch vehicles, satellites. Though these technologies were flourishing elsewhere in United States and USSR that time. So we started actually very late after our independence, maybe 15 years after our independence. We slowly started building launch vehicles, satellites, sounding rockets, etc. That time we started with sounding rockets launching from Thiruvananthapuram, Tumba. Later we started small satellites starting from Aryabhatta, Rohini, Bhaskara. These are very small satellites to begin with. We didn't have any rockets to take these satellites into orbit. You are aware that satellites alone will not do the job. It will do the job only if it is in orbit. So later we started building the carrier, the satellite launch vehicles, SLV first. Few launches were failures. SLV2, SLV3 first, it was a success. It was directed by project director of that time of SLV3 was none other than Dr. Abdul J. Kalam, and he made it success. So that was the first success story of launch vehicle of ISRO. It carried a small satellite called Rohini, which is around 40 kg only. Later, the demand for heavyweight satellites, functional satellites demanded, and we produced launch vehicles, ASLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicles, Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicles, and its higher version GSLV Mark III, with varying payload capacities. Though 40 kg was the 1975 when it was launched, we have capability up to 10,000 kg with the GSLV Mark III right now. So we have made a long way to increase the capability and the scientific content in launch vehicles. Similar was the case of satellites also. Many satellites, remote sensing, communication, navigation, and other satellites like Chandrayaan. This is for a specific purpose. And Aditya, Chandrayaan and Aditya, primarily for exploring other heavenly bodies, which you are aware, I need not explain to you. Chandrayaan orbited our moon. There were 3 Chandrayaan missions, 1 Aditya mission. Aditya mission, it orbited around Mars planet. So like that, we continue to excel in space technology area in last 60 years under the able leadership of many pioneers, starting from Vikram Sarabhai to right now Dr. Narayanan, who is the chairman of Indian Space Research Organization. You should remember that the success story is all along was not a success story. There were failures, few failures, which were very painful because rocketry is actually a very risky affair, unlike other technologies, because it leaves the earth. Once a rocket or launch vehicle leaves or lift off from ground, there is no driver inside. There is no control from ground or the control center down the earth. It goes on its own and inject the payload in the required orbit. We have only one command which can be given from ground, that is to destroy the rocket if it malfunctions. Except this control, we don't have anything. So the last 20 minutes, the thousands of technologies which we built over years together will be tested maybe in 20 minutes time frame. All the thousands of technologies which we developed over time will be tested in 20 minutes time. It is a huge risk. It is something like an examination. You may be writing examinations, but in this examination, we have only 2 marks, either 0 or thousands of subsystems works together without any fault, you will get 100% mark, which is 1. If 99.9% of the subsystems work very well, the mission will be failure and you will get 0 mark. There is nothing like a pass mark. Ideally, in all logic, you should get 99.9 mark out of 100. This is the risk in space technology. Success or failure, or maximum mark or failure. There is nothing like in between, a binary system of ones and zeros. So these failures has taught lot of lesson to ISRO. That is how ISRO is at this present moment. We had lot of failures. I remember PSLV took around 10 years time to develop, design and come to launch pad, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. 1983, I was doing my post-graduation that time. It was a failure, first flight. It was very painful. Later we identified, all the scientists that time identified the problem. That problem could not be anticipated because before the mission we do simulations, anticipating all the failure routes and taking care or to avoid the failure routes and taking care actions. But this failure route was missed. It is a 4-stage rocket, a small separation system between the 3rd stage and 4th stage malfunctioned, a small malfunctioning, which might not be a mission failure, but it triggered a software error, a software bug. This a hardware leading to a software failure is not anticipated. It is very difficult to anticipate also. Ultimately, the mission failed and we got 0 mark. All the other systems worked well. There is nothing like 99.9 marks out of 100. A similar incident was the Chandrayaan mission. We wanted to orbit moon. First mission was successful and we orbited moon. We injected a moon impact probe and it is hard landed on the surface of the moon. In Chandrayaan 2, we wanted to soft land, slowly like a helicopter, to land on the surface of the moon. So from Earth orbit, Chandrayaan 2 took off, orbited Earth, inserted into lunar orbit, successful, orbited 100 by kilometer by 100 kilometer around moon. Finally, it started descending from 100 kilometer to 0 kilometer. The last 2 seconds, everything worked well till the last 2 seconds where there was a control system failure and it crash landed on the surface of the moon. See, again, we did 99.9, a 0.1% failure, we got 0 mark. Very painful. But later, we understood the problem and we went to Chandrayaan 3 and rest of the things you are aware. We landed softly and we made a history. What I wanted to tell was failure should not be dragging behind or should not be allowed to pull you. If you are afraid of failures, you cannot progress at all. Let the failure comes. A failure is always better than just a success. It will teach you a lot of lessons. But a mere success will not teach you much. But you will be happy. Of course, we all want to succeed everywhere. But it is not possible. Take failures in a positive spirit. Don't be afraid. Go again and again. Something like a child learn to walk. We have much more goals to come. So we have the further, the Gaganyaan mission, we wanted to take a human to Earth orbit. We call it as Gaganyaan mission. The studies, current developments are now going on. We wanted to go to Venus, the second planet in the solar system. We wanted to land in Mars orbit. And a Paradhi Antariksha, a space station, we wanted to build in space. So right now there are only 2 space stations. One is by European Space Agency and a consortium of Europeans and America, and by China. We wanted to build a Paradhi Antariksha station. So these are all approved projects. So these projects need lot of manpower. ISRO needs lot of manpower in the near future. And scientists, young engineers should come out from educational institutions. Young engineers, how young engineers come? From among you only. You will be going from this school to some other colleges, engineering colleges, other establishments. Finally, you are the people should be leading the future goals of ISRO. I am sure you will succeed in that. This is the reason why ISRO is here. I am sure whatever effort ISRO is put in encouraging the students, motivating the students, and the scientific bent of mind, what you cultivate in you definitely will give result and make India self-reliant completely. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.